Okay, our very first step is, of course, to place the CMD measuring device in the chair. And there's a series of really crucial steps. The very first one is to make sure that the back member of the chair measuring device is locked at 90 degrees. And this is a little lever you do that with. One of the experiences we've learned is that there's going to be a wide number of steps as you go through here that will either call for that to be locked at 90 degrees or for it to be released. And it's so easy to forget that step. So you need to key on the entire procedure, making sure you do those things religiously. To lock it when it's called for and unlock it when it's called for. So that's the very first thing you need to worry about. Okay, the next thing I want to point out is that on the chair measuring device is a red line right in the center of it. And that center red line is going to need to be aligned with a piece of the center line on this piece of tape down here. So as we were going through this procedure, we'll at various times refer to try to centering things, and those are the things we're trying to center if you can't see it too well as we're doing it. All right, the next step we're going to talk about here is getting right down to preparing to drop this CMD into the chair. And a crucial element now here is that besides aligning this red line with a piece of tape, we have to get the back of the chair as close to the CMD pelvic region as we can without touching it. So that requires that someone stand about in this position here and watch the whole system and continuously fiddle with the CMD and the chair back, keeping this alignment with a piece of tape with a clearance to the back of the chair. The next step is to reposition this front weight on the chair measuring device buttocks so that the seat depth indicator that you see here is approximately 1 centimeter in front of this front of the chair. And the reason I chose 1 centimeter here, even though it doesn't say it in here, is that I know that when we are pushing the chair measuring device back, as will be required in another moment or two, the compression of this back will be such that this whole thing will move back probably about a centimeter. So experiments will tell you whether it's a centimeter or something else. If this were a rigid back, you would not want to have any space in there at all. And the reason we don't mention the 1 centimeter in the written directions is because it's so variable depending on the compression of the chair back as it's under load. So it's something you're going to have to learn by experience as you're going through these various chairs that you're measuring. And you'll, over time, kind of get an idea of, well, it's a very soft back, I need 2 centimeters. Or it's only partially soft, 1 centimeter will do. No, it's a rigid back, no clearance at all. So this is an experience kind of thing that you just have to pay attention to and learn as you go. The next step, we're going to show you the application of the 40 Newton load that's called for in this procedure. And so that load is applied by this device here. We have a weight hanging down that you can't see very well, that when I release it through the linkage system here and a pulley, it will apply a load between this and this. So here we go. You need to manipulate that a little bit. Okay, now this device is applying the load, and you can see our gap here is just maybe a millimeter or 2, which is just about ideal. Dave here is positioning the back so that it's properly centered and maneuvering it, so we're getting ready to lower the weight, which we'll do now. Now we're going to lower the CMD into the chair while the 40 Newton load is being pushed back. It's pushing the CMD back. Notice that Dave is very carefully guiding that CMD down in a centered position. I'm going to take this down until you hear some slack here. Okay, now that we've got the chair measuring device lowered into the chair, our next step is to release this vertical member lock. Remember again, this step is going to come over and over again. And when we release that, that will allow this vertical member to swing back and press its way into the chair a little bit, depending on how much weight is involved here. It begins to act like your back would act if you were sitting in a chair. That's the whole idea of this thing, is to simulate the human. So we've got that done now. And the next step is to remove this force that we put on earlier by just simply pulling this away and blocking it out. And we wanted to make sure that when we got that done, that our gap in here is just nicely down to 0. So we're now getting in a position where we can start to make measurements. Now that we've placed the chair measuring device in the chair, we need to check to see whether or not we were successful in getting a chair measuring device in whose seat is completely horizontal, if it's possible to make it horizontal, or not. If not, we will need to make some adjustments to bring that in to level. And as you can probably see here, we're at 0.8 of a degree tilted to the rear. So we'll now stop and make some adjustments to bring that closer to 0, maybe with a couple tenths. Okay, now you can see that we've made some adjustments and got somewhat closer to the perfectly horizontal position. We're down to within 0.3 of a degree, and we think we can live with that. Because we made some adjustments, that means we need to replace the chair measuring device in the chair. So we have to repeat all those steps we just did a little bit ago by raising it up and re-lowering it again to get it correctly positioned. And just by way of a reminder here, before we do that, we have to relock this back of the chair measuring device in a 90-degree position. Can't repeat often enough a reminder to do that. Now that we have replaced the chair measuring device in the chair, having made the adjustments we made, we've double checked to make sure we held the 0.3 of a degree, and we did. It's now time to release this chair measuring device back, so it's back in position. And we also then need to put some marks on a piece of tape on the seat of the chair that shows where the seat surface width zone is that you'll be using later on in a subsequent measurement. So we've got that one to put in and that one on. You make your mark, and that completes that step.